Hi, welcome to Observe the Moment. We're back with another video, and today I'm going to be talking a little more updated video about cycles of nine, how I interpret the numbers, how I see it in my daily life, and how it just comes to me, how I come to understand, what each energy that rules over the day has to say. So I took down some notes. So if I'm looking down, I'm looking at my notes, a little bit of talking points, reminders of what I said previously. I made a rough draft video, and we're just gonna keep it rolling. We're gonna keep it going. So first, I want to talk about the days in no particular order, and just some things I've noticed with each one. It's gonna be interesting. Oops. I'm gonna try not to get nervous, but if I do, it's all right. So off rip, I've been observing this. I want to say it's been a little over a year now. I think I started this. I think I posted the first video. It was sunny out, so it must have been around this time last year. That's when I really started taking heed to numbers, taking interest in numbers. Well, I've always been interested in numbers, but taking interest in how each number has an associated energy to it, and the possibility of each day having a number associated to it, thus having an energy ruling over the day. Um, and so during my findings, I've seen repeated things, and I've seen things that changed, and I've seen things that got flipped on the side of its head, and things that were interesting and things that were intriguing. Um, Although the energy of the number stays the same and it has the same principles, it expresses itself very differently each week or each cycle. And as I grow, as I get immersed deeper into myself, different things come up under the same principles of the numbers and the same energy. And I express myself in different ways. Like, one thing I'm gonna get into is I learned that being harmonious isn't always producing favorable outcomes or results. Being harmonious is just being in tune with your whole self. And sometimes we have parts about ourselves that we hide subconsciously and consciously. And being in a harmoniousness with yourself means addressing or integrating or acknowledging the parts of ourselves that we've hidden. I'm gonna go over my interpretations of some of the numbers and what they mean to me now versus, back then. And like I said, no particular order just yet. When I was recording this originally, I examined the cycle I just ended. So I'm gonna keep on that track just for clarity purposes. But for one, I've noticed it's not any direction. It's not anything. It's purely expansion. And I notice on one, I feel expanded and I feel expansive and I feel I can take the day wherever it is I need to go. But I do notice I usually transfer the wisdom I got from nine and go into one. I'm gonna talk about that a little bit. I'm gonna talk a little about that later. But the things that I picked up on nine, as far as the wisdom, things I don't feel like I have control over or I didn't have control over that prior cycle. One, it feels like an opportunity to now adjust myself or approach the situation that I was going through the previous cycle with a new perspective, with new tools, with um, more control. I feel like it's just a fresh opportunity. So yes, it's an expensive. Yes, I'm expanding myself. Yes, I'm not going in any particular direction, but there is residue, for the lack of better words, from the previous cycle. Now, now going into the new cycle, starting on a one day, I feel more able and more equipped to interact with what I didn't have control of earlier. I feel now I have more control. And then two feels like I am experiencing the duality. That stayed the same. I feel like I'm experiencing both sides of the direction I'm going, and the both sides of myself, the both sides of my circumstances. It's not like I was saying earlier, where being harmonious isn't just producing favorable results. Um, for two, I feel like I'm seeing the best of both worlds when it comes to myself, my circumstances. And I've also come to understand that on a more profound, deeper level, that my circumstances are reflecting what's going on internally at any given current moment, or at the moment of me experiencing the circumstances. It's a simultaneous mirror that's always mirroring. And so some 2 days, I feel like 2 days for me, it's not really like a good or bad, a fun or not fun. It's really just information for me. I'm taking in like whatever the day is saying to me, and I'm like, okay. And also I've made a lot of peace with it, because in the past I would always try to get on the more favorable side, or get on like the lighter side, or the better side of duality, while ignoring the darker side of duality. And then I would find later in the week I would find myself on the darker side of duality anyway. So now it's just like, I'm just taking in information and asking myself, what's coming up for me, or like, what is it saying to me, or why do I feel a certain way? Those introspective questions. And also, I don't take my circumstances so personally, as I'm thinking to myself, what is this reflecting back to me that I'm hiding, that I'm not acknowledging, that I haven't integrated yet, or I've been ignoring. And also, like, what is this saying about me, that, my strengths and things. Take it both ways. And then three, I've noticed three is it's like the higher octave two, whereas two, I feel like two bleeds into three, and three bleeds into two. Two is like, I feel like the duality of self, and then once you get to three, you really start seeing the duality of your circumstances, and you can really see that mirror action going on. And I keep saying harmonious, it's not always favorable results. In my recording or my observing of some other threes, I've noticed that they were not they were not the best days. I've had better days than the three, than on those particular 3 days, because there were some things that I was doing. Ooh, thought, do not lose me. There were some things that I was doing that I didn't notice, that was not being self-induced peace. Not, I have a saying where I say, a wish is, I wish that I can create self-induced peace. I was doing the opposite of that, but not realizing, because I've been doing that. These are habits I've already established that are harmful to me. So my circumstances, put me not necessarily in harmful situations, but situations that I had to question, is this me? Like, am I in agreement with this situation? Because I don't like this. And then moving on to four, three bleeds into four, which is asking, okay, well, what are some ways that we can strategize so we don't have to, encounter this type of situation again? What are we doing to be in agreement with the situation? What is the situation saying that, we are missing? Like, what's it saying about us that's saying, like, I am going to go for this situation, or like, why did this situation come to my doorstep, essentially? And I'll, dig deeper into all the numbers later, but moving on, that bleeds into five, where five is like, you get a different perspective about yourself, and you just kind of get insight that you didn't really think about, or you didn't really consider, 1 through 4. You just get a fresh new perspective, and that's what I mean when I keep saying fresh perspective. It's just things you didn't consider, and your circumstances are kind of like reset in a way, but not necessarily. It's just like, okay, maybe same vibe, different situation. Now that you've considered what you didn't consider, what are you gonna do now? And then 5 leads into 6, which is, are you going to integrate? And I love this word, integrate. How are you going to integrate what you didn't consider, what you got from 1 through 4, with, like, similar situations? And then 7 is the downloads, the meditation day, the relaxed day. Just like your inner world's more interactive and active than maybe your circumstances, situations on the outer side of you. And then, you have 8, and 8 feels to me that I feel my cause and effects are more apparent and are more immediate, and I see them more. So whatever I do, I see the immediate effect of whatever I do, of whatever however I interact with the situation, interact with myself. I just see the immediate effect of my cause, or the cause of my effect, whatever. But I don't feel like the wisdom is there just yet of why it is happening that way, or why it's why I got a certain effect to my cause. But 9 day, I feel like that's where the wind. I feel like 9 is a higher octave of 8, but a higher octave of this whole system, because it's 9. It's the last number, but also because I feel like the wisdom is there. I feel like everything is revealed to you of why things had to happen the way that they had to happen, or why you interacted like that with yourself versus, why you interacted with yourself that way, thus got the situations you got. It's just like an all-around wisdom. And so I'll get into all this as we get through the video. I just wanted to give you like a brief little, of the numbers as I've come to understand them over this past year and some change. A brief introduction. Sometimes the words be escaping me, but we gonna pull them back every time. Starting off with number 1, 1 day, the ruler of 1, the ruler of the energy that rules over day 1, had all interchangeable names for it. I often feel like I take the wisdom from 9's energy and I make that the focal point, or something I focus on working on when interacting with this day. And this is either consciously on my mind or subconsciously on my mind. I often feel that I've created a very intimate relationship with the universe, with those who are watching over me, those who are rooted for me, those who are governing over my growth and expansion. So sometimes if it's in the subconscious, it gets picked, like the focal point of the day gets picked for me, especially if there's been cycles that I wasn't really monitoring as hard as I would other cycles. If it's on my mind consciously, I consciously remember what happened yesterday, and I say, okay, we're going to expand on this. We're going to expand on the wisdom that we got from 9. And I go into a higher octave from the last cycle. And I feel like each cycle is a higher octave of the previous one. I take control of what I didn't have control of in my past moments. 1 day feels more equipped. 1 day I feel more equipped to interact with what I struggled with the previous cycle. I interact with circumstances differently because I am different. And like I said in the introduction, 1 is expansion. I'm different because I integrated something. I saw a perspective 9 different ways, if you will, and I immersed myself deeper into myself. It doesn't always have to be a follow-up from the previous cycle, but it can be a new aspiration, or both, or nothing, or you just want to maintain where you currently are with your energy. As for me, like I was saying, being this intimate with the universe, I always feel supported, and sometimes my forces will pick a blind spot for that particular cycle within me, and I will have to work on that blind spot so I can just be better all around. Um, but for one, I always feel like you're going to have some type of aspiration, at least for me, as I followed as I followed these cycles closely. One day I always just feel eager to just start anew, eager to do something. And I'll say this a lot throughout the video. No one trait is just associated to one particular energy ruler of the day. But I have noticed that that energy or that trait, the things that may happen during this day are more apparent on this particular day than any other energy day of the cycle. And like I was saying earlier, they all bleed into one another. It's not like, oh, one day's up, all right, enough with that energy, we're moving on. Like, it's a color spectrum. So on my last one day, I woke up. I can't remember exactly what happened in the 9 day prior, but I do remember how I was feeling. And I was feeling like I want to be more at peace with myself, or I want to just stop feeling so jaded. That's what it was. I want to stop feeling so jaded. I want to stop feeling so irritated with my situations when they don't go my way. I just want to stop feeling like my emotions are a burden on me, and I just want to stop feeling like I just don't have no control when things don't feel supported. So I had woke up that day. I had went to, and also I just want to feel more pure inside and out, pure with myself, pure with my thoughts, pure with my emotions, pure with my intentions, and just pure. And that was the focal point for this particular one day, was to feel more pure. So I had woke up and there was some aggressive energy in the house, and I took it upon myself to say, like, this is not how I want to spend my day. I understand it started this way, but we're not going to continue it this way. And it was Easter Sunday. I put on this white dress I had bought when I was in Brazil, and something about the white, I was just like, white to me is always represented. I've always been told that white represents pure, so I'm gonna just go with it. Put on the white. I got real dainty. I got real nice, and it's something about the white dress that's called out to me. And I just put on, like, I didn't put on random pieces of jewelry, but I put on pieces of jewelry that my mind was like, oh yeah, that will go, that will go. I kind of let my mind get me dressed, and so I put on all my jewelry, I put on my dresses, I get my blanket, and I go to the park I'm at right now. And I just sit there, and I just felt very at peace for where I was. Like, I wasn't spending I did something different. Like, usually I spend the holidays with my family or something. I decided to spend it by myself. I brought my cards, journal, music, I brought some food, and I just brought things I like to take with me to keep my mind occupied. I was getting compliments, and like the vibe was just vibing. Like, it was a vibe. I can't lie. But one thing that stuck out to me is this little boy from his family. He had to be like 5 years old or something. He just came and started talking to me, and like nothing in particular, but just came and sparked up conversation. And I thought that was so nice, because kids are like pure. Kids are very pure and innocent, and like he must have felt some energy up off of me to say, like, she's cool. Like, I want to go talk to her. And he was just telling me about his life. He's like, you see the people over there? Those are my family. Like, very articulate for a child. Kids are smart. And like, that just brought so much joy to my heart, because I'm just like, wow, like, you're talking to me. Like, anything kids do amazes me. But it was just really nice. It was a really nice day that day. I felt myself glowing, and I felt myself just kind of like take all the thoughts that weren't pure, and not in like the pure, like dirty or nothing, but like just like, so I've named the negative thoughts, and I call them the evil forces of my mind, or the negative forces of my mind. And so the negative forces of my mind, whatever they were saying, I was just like, nah, like I don't really want to be bothered by you today. But it wasn't like hard to do. It was just like, I don't want to, and I didn't, and I went on about my day. That day was great, and that one day, I set the intention where it's like, I just want to be more pure with myself, and like, I just radiated that out, and spoke it into the universe. And as the week followed, I was like shown different ways I'm not being pure, different ways I am, and the ways that I wasn't. Like, here's some ways, or like I did some things to where it's like I kind of flipped that around. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not gonna do this thing anymore. I'm gonna let go of this habit I have, because it's not in the direction I'm really trying to go, which is, be more kind to myself, have my circumstances reflect the direction I am trying to go, and let go of things that's keeping circumstances that I'm not really in tune with in my space. So, yeah, that was such a good day. And yeah, like, I was just really, feeling myself that day. And I didn't let the how the morning started jade me for the rest of the day. Take my worldview of like, this is why I came, and go just go down that spiral of the negative forces of my mind. So yeah. I'm just gonna read something I wrote here to wrap up this one. I really felt myself glowing that day, and from my change of perspective that morning, that day started off strong with aggressive energy, and I chose to do something else with my time and energy. This theme followed throughout the week / cycle. As situations that were not appealing, I chose to stop interacting and or people pleasing, and convincing myself to stay or keep interacting. Instead of being mad and jaded that it was happening, I guided my attention to things that reflected the goodness in me back to me, and reminded myself I don't have to settle for this just because it's happening right now, or accept unacceptable behavior. A situation can change in an instant for me, so it's just best to chill. And as I go through the week, that is the like main theme that followed. Moving on to two, I feel, is narrowing down the expansion to a single direction. Like I've said already, I felt like in the past where it's like you need to choose where you want to be on this duality spectrum, and I've come to see that is not what it is. The universe is going to place you where you are, and what your energy is saying, and like what you are, and it's not going to, I'm not gonna say it's not gonna listen, but it's the stronger energy is what you are, and it's not going to take that over. It's not going, it's not going to choose where you think you want to be over where you actually are. And so that's why I was explaining it today. It's just information. 2 is showing your duality of the direction you choose to go. You see both sides. It's not about choosing which side to be on either. I've come to see it's more about accepting both, seeing your duality, not flinching, and integrating both. Thus, seeing your duality in your circumstances. I do feel like that bleeds into a little to 3, but my point still stands. Because 3, I feel it's about actually seeing the circumstances and the duality in that. And 2 is about seeing the duality within yourself and how you show up to your circumstances. 3 is like how your circumstances show up to you. When I was first analyzing the system, I would always, like I was saying, try to be on the more positive or most favorable side, the extreme. I would find myself on the opposite side of the extreme, like later on. And like I just said, it's not about placing yourself where you want to be, or it's not about placing stuff where you want to be. How I see it is taking in data. It's information. Your circumstances, everything has duality. You cannot eliminate one side of duality because you only want favorable results. All of it is a part of it. And that just really sums up 2. On 2 day, I was kind of I started to like dip into old people pleasing habits. I started to dip into like, I know what it was. I know what a situation would be and I would still interact with it, hoping that it's not what I know it to be. And at the end of the situation, or at the end of like me interacting with it, I would feel drained, I would feel unfulfilled. I would just, it just, I knew what it was going to be when I integrated, when I interacted with it. And like, at the end, I would feel unfulfilled. So at the end of that day, going into 3 day, like, winding down, reflecting over my day, I just, I, I again had to tell my mind, or like tell myself, I don't want to keep interacting with situations that are unfulfilling, whether whether it's harmful or not. Like, just because it's not harming me, it's not abusing me, it's not overtly like aggressive, it's still unfulfilling. And it's okay for me not to want what I don't want. And that don't make me a bad person. And like, I just remember that day, I was just coming into a lot of situations that I would in the past accept and be just like, oh, that's life. And now I'm taking a different approach and saying, listen, it's unfulfilling. I don't want it. I don't want it. Nothing has to happen for me to finally say, okay, I don't accept this. Like, listen, my body don't want it, so therefore I don't want it. And I had to let a lot of situations that day go, where it not feel bad that I'm letting it go, even though nothing was like bad was happening. I just had to be okay with like, letting stuff go. Also, that day I noticed that I was contributing to the situation as well, contributing to the unfulfilling situations, and agreeing with it in some way. Like, my body may have been like, girl, this is not it, but in my mind, I'm still in agreement with it. I'm still interacting. I'm still saying it's okay. And so I was seeing how I was contributing to being part of unfulfilling situations, and kind of pulling that towards myself and saying like, this is okay. So moving on to three, I noticed the duality in the spectrum formed a triangle as we know. You are now interacting and harmonizing with it all. Where you are versus where you want to be. Your circumstances are relaying information it got from your inner world, from two. And it's a lot of reflecting going on. This energy is always going to go with where you actually are versus where you think you want to be. It's like the ego versus the real self. And as I've been observing this, I knew what to call it. The words are escaping me. As I've been observing these cycles and this, not progress, let me think of it. As I've been observing this system, I have noticed, however you're feeling the prior day for 3 days, yeah, your circumstances are going to reflect that. Sometimes harmonizing means blocking everything you thought you wanted to do that day, because you were blocking everything you wanted to do the previous day with yourself. And so now things just not working out. But it's like things, I've had some 3 days. I've had some 3 days where I feel like everything was in agreement with me, and then I had some 3 days where I've had some 3 days where I was shown parts of myself that I was hiding via circumstances. And what I mean by that is, from morning to night, nothing seemed to go right. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And in some weeks, and I'm about to jump around a little bit, in some weeks or some cycles where it was a particularly challenging cycle, the days, oh, the baby, the days between 2 and 6, I had to like put up the white flag, because I'm like, what is really going on? And I just couldn't understand for the life of me why I'm getting so much resistance from the universe. Like, why are you treating me this way? But like I said, as I come to observe, as I've like really been honest with myself, I'm causing the resistance. I'm causing the resistance, and the universe is only showing me, reflecting back to me what I'm doing. And it's only like, it's only in the universe is such an agreement with me that if I'm causing myself resistance, the universe is like, okay, that's what we're doing. Okay, cool. You said this is what you wanted. So this has been a really interesting journey. What I wrote here is, what I mean when I say what I mean when I keep saying circumstances reflect me is that I was in some situations that seem very chaotic compared to how I feel my attitude towards life is that day, or in general, let off. However, my thoughts or self-talk could be of the same energy when alone or triggered, or when alone or triggered. Therefore, the circumstances I was presented with and I attracted each other. Because I don't share my every thought or habits I do when no one is looking, or my people pleasing, agreeing to something I was not in agreement with, it's hidden. However, energy source, universe, the one controlling the energy and the mirroring, sees the unseen. You are constantly being reflected through your circumstances, depending on how and depending on how well you are familiar with yourself, is how easy or challenging it is to be able to see the link between the two. And man, I had to say ma'am to myself a few times, Miss Lady, in the nicest way I could say. You're gonna have to get it together. And one thing I've really found with this system is that the antidote to shame really is compassion. Because you cannot kick people pleasing by being mean to yourself. Because your people pleasing is going to people please the meanest. Like, it's going to say, like, you know what? I am a bad person. I am this and I am that. I'm not saying I am right now, universe. Who, you never know who's listening. But it's just not going to, like, work if you are being mean to yourself. You cannot shame yourself into being a better person. I feel like I've said this before. This is the balancing nature. This is cause and effect. This is law. Like I was just saying, the universe is in agreement with you. You are co-creating with the universe. So whatever you got going on inside, you are creating that. You are always emitting out some type of information about what's going on in here to the world that's getting reflected back to you. And of course, it's a lot more nuanced. It's tailored. People's energy is tailored to them. It's not as black and white as I'm making it seem. But this is an underlying law. Like, this is what it is, cause and effect. Doesn't really care if it's nuanced. It is what it is. Like I was saying, everything is situational and circumstantial. This isn't a one size fits all. However, like I said, it is running in the background. Thoughts are mustard seeds, and the type of thoughts you think are going to get planted, they're going to grow, and they're going to bear fruit. And I would say this system really, in the most literal way, because sometimes I can be a bit metaphorical or literal, and the universe has, adjusted its communication to me through this system, with this system, by the system, whatever, by saying, like, your thoughts are what are causing some of the chaos in your life. Your thoughts are what causing where your stance, and your thoughts are what either brings or what's the word for that? Brings or delays your manifestations and what you want for yourself. Very interesting stuff. Right here I say I was shocked at what I would experience on the 3-day because it was supposed to be harmonious and it was showing me the ugly parts of me to me. So I was like, what the heck? Like, I don't like this. This is supposed to be fun. It's not fun. Like, what's really going on? Harmonious to me was always supposed to be favorable, always feeling good, desired outcome. I was incorrect. I was very incorrect. Harmonious is just what you really resonate with. And sometimes some 3 days were very challenging because it was showing me what I needed to see, not necessarily what I wanted to see. I can choose on a 3-day. I can choose. I can take in this information just like I'm taking in data from 2-day. I can take in data from 3-day, and I can choose what I want to do with the information I was shown. I can keep doing this, or I can do something else. I can be in a harmonious triangle with something else, or I can keep being in a harmonious triangle, whatever I'm currently in a harmonious triangle with. That leads into 4-day, the square, the structure, the foundation you set up to get you blasted off with 5. I said here, taking the information I got from 3 and saying, well, if you don't want to keep doing this, or I want to, then ask yourself, how can I set myself up to not do this no more, be this way, and vice versa, if you want to keep doing it. Circumstances, thoughts, epiphany, and now I'm into 4. I'm saying taking information from 3-day, asking myself that question. Circumstances, thoughts, epiphanies, and perspective usually follow to help me get a solid foundation of a plan to change or keep my perspective, or to let me slow down. To change or keep my same actions. This day I also found trends of getting stuff done, fulfilling tasks. I like to use this day to do chores I put off or that have come up. This day is also good for to-do list and paperwork. It has a studious vibe and a completing errands type of vibe and getting shit done. I don't think I went over my day for the 3. Hold on. So now I'm looking back at my calendar because your girl has a lot going on in her brain at all times. I'm about to jump around a little bit, but I promise I'll get back on point. Going back to 2-day, I remembered I had did something I never done before, which is when I peeped something was not working and I peeped I was giving into it, at the end of it I said, I don't want to do this anymore. Best of luck to the energy, best of luck to everybody involved. I just don't want to do it. And I took that intention from one day of saying, I'm not gonna people please, I'm not gonna continue on something just for the sake of continuing on. I don't want to do it. And in the most tactful way as I could, and then moving on to 3-day, I just wanted to add that in. I saw circumstances more overtly reflect back to me kind of what my people pleasing has caused or where it's led me. And it was kind of the same approach of that day, where I made up in my mind, I just don't want to do this no more. I don't want to keep engaging in same habits, behaviors, thought patterns, circumstances that I did. Like, I seen it in 2-day, and it was good. A little bit of the same approach for the 3-day. There's like, you know what? I'm over it. Without getting too like specific and drawn in, like, oh, this happened. That was the general vibe of that day. I would be in a situation, I would get introduced to a situation. It would be all nice. It would be all grand. It would seem like a good idea. Then in the situation, I would just notice things that I did not like, or I've noticed in previous situations that did not go well, the same traits, and we're on the same pattern of it potentially coming to the same fate. And I made in my mind right there, I don't want to engage with this. I'm peeping too much similarities between situations that didn't work in this one. And by the end of the night, I came to reflect, okay, I'm just going to, once I peep the first time, I'm out of there. I'm not going to wait until it's done to say, hey, we're not going to do that again. I'm going to take action right when I peep it. Right when I peep the action is being done that I don't like. We're going to stop waiting so long. We're just going to do it. Now, these are things that need to be cultivated and grown. It's not as simple of like, we need to do it now and then do it. That's being too hard on myself. That's not being compassionate. That's not allowing for human error. So, yes, I had that mindset with myself, but I'm also taking in consideration, if I don't do it the way I think I should do it, it's all right. And I'm also taking into like, not be in a rush to accomplish nothing, not be in a rush to do anything, just really relaxing and taking the moments as they come. I peep it, I have that in my mind. I'm not going to like try to like people please with this, like maybe it's this and maybe I should stop looking too deep into it. We're going to take that energy, we're going to take the data I received from this situation, and we're going to move accordingly. We're not going to like try to reason with it. All right, moving forward, back now on to 4. I forgot I didn't speak on 5. No, speak on 4. We're still on 4. So the 4-day, like I was just saying, you got to be compassionate to yourself if you don't do with the action that you know you need to do right then and right there. So on 4 days, I had some situation of the same energy from 2 and 3. But mind you, I know it may seem like I'm just keep getting situations, just the same situation, I'm not doing anything. But I will say, I'm going through this internal process of like, okay, I've caught myself people pleasing like that. We're not going to people please like that anymore. Okay, I see it can come at me from a different angle. We're going to address this angle, and I see that it's coming from this angle. So on 4, there were some situations to where it was clear as day. And I mean, it couldn't be no clearer that this is what it is. And instead of people pleasing at all, I was just like, no. And not even like getting super mad about it, not even coming to like, I can't believe it's happening again, or just like I'm gonna storm out, or like I'm gonna tell them, or I'm just going to like be so overt with it. It was just like, listen, I see it, I recognize what this is. I've had experience with 2 and 3. I'm not even going to try to fix my mind to like be jaded about it, like from 1 day. I'm just not going to like interact, like moving forward, or like the moment I leave this situation, I wash my hands with it, and God bless, Godspeed. I'm not going to be jaded about it. I'm not going to be hella mad about it. Like truly, Godspeed. And there's nothing here for me to try to even extract like information from. Like, I just see this for what this is, and I have it in my mind now to where I'm not even finna, like I said, get jaded or like beat myself up for finding myself in the same situation again. I was way more compassionate to myself on this particular 4-day with similar situations from 2 and 3. The reflection going on to where it's like, you know what, I will let it be what is and be what is. I had a good day. It was a good day. But, you know, just going through that process of, like, taking the information from 1, 2, and 3, and 4, seeing the similarities, seeing the link, and understanding, like, what is going on. And then also, like, you know, what's my crowd and what's not. Also, like, going through the process of elimination almost. I will say during this last cycle, I was, like I said earlier, dipping in some old energy and revisiting the past. Coming to a real understanding that I've outgrown these spaces. There is nothing here for me, and there's nothing to feel jaded about either. I just need to take my life in a different direction. Like, it's nothing here for me. And I also would like to mention, I had just gotten back from Brazil, so I was out the country for a month. So coming back to my home, trying to kick it with people, you know, I ain't seen in a while. That kind of gives context to why this felt like a process of elimination. With energy, though, no shade to the people, energy. Even myself, conducting myself in ways that I just don't align with no more. Like, it's truly time to move on. So going into 5, 4 was a very introspective day of like, baby, I see it and it's time to get going. Because this is no, like, it's draining. It's like I'm not benefiting nothing from being away I'm not anymore, and also playing with these circumstances knowing that I'm not, this isn't me. Am I playing, giving my time and energy? Ooh, where am I? So yes, we're moving on to 5. 5-day. This particular 5-day, I was interacting. I wrote here, 5 is taking off and changing. 5 is taking off and changing. New perspectives to existing structures, mindsets, circumstances, problems, stances, situations. Quote, I'll show you a new perspective and you can take this and change your mind about yourself, interacting with yourself, thus getting more favorable situations, circumstances drawn back to you. It's always going to go back to self. 5 isn't really forgiving like the other numbers, and that's not necessarily in a bad way. It's just something about you is going to change today, and that's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're going to change in some way, whether it's small, whether it's major. But that's the whole point of this 9 cycle. You're not going to stay the same ever. You're always going to be growing and changing in some way. You change every day. So why not make it more intentional? So this particular 5-day, I was, like I was saying, interacting with the past, dipping in some old energy and old habits and old ways of doing things. I was alone this day, but just more so reflecting on 1 through 4, really 2 through 4, because I was just like, wow, like that's not really my space. I really sat with myself and entered into a new space. I was thinking about my old situations in a way I did not prior to that day. 5's energy has a really good way of getting you to see a different way of things, ways you wouldn't have thought of. It's not that you cannot do this on any other day. I feel you are more susceptible when 5's energy rules over the day. Yeah. It's always funny when I do that. But basically what I said here, I was sitting, I didn't, this was a low, even in my planner, I like to write down how I was feeling on particular days so I could go back in time. But I didn't do anything that day. I was really sitting with myself. Inner world was active because I was just like, it's no way that this is all happening right now. Like, this is a lot. But I got a new perspective about the situations that I was interacting with, and I had the new perspective of just like, for the lingering negative self-talk, I just said, what if we just did not? What if we just tried and took a leap of faith and just did not do that? I haven't put it into action yet, but just the thought of not doing that, or not talking to myself in that way, or not blaming myself for like overly going on myself so hard and so negative. What if we just did not? What are the negative forces of my mind going to do? You don't have to be scared of them. And also, what if I just said no to the situations? Like, yeah, that they happen, but what if I just started saying no right then and there? Or saying absolutely not and walking away? What if I just start being the bitch I am scared of being? It's just a thought. So I had wrote in my planner here, I said, doing what I know, believing, intensity, alchemizing, shadow work, accepting, using my imagination, being still, feeling. So all of these things that I'm doing, I'm like just really thinking to myself, what if I just didn't interact with the situations? What if I just acted on my first thought? What if? Like, come on. Like, what would happen if you did those things? I think you would get the desired outcome you've been looking for. What if you being the mean person you're scared of being? I think that these situations wouldn't be attracted to you no more. Let's try it. Let's put it into, like, imagine yourself putting it into action. What if you were started being more nicer to yourself and started being more mean? Because remember, I'm talking to the people pleasing part of myself. What if I just started being more mean to people who drain me of my energy and that don't respect like, you know, me as a person, or don't interact with me in a way that people would if they actually, you know, gave a fuck about you. Let me move on because I'm getting excited. It's something it's something about five's energy that says, hey, look at things in yourself differently, look at your situations differently. Five is just like, hey, I'm just putting the thought into the air, I'm just giving you an idea. But six is where you say, all right, I'm gonna interact on it. On the 5 day, I noticed some of my actions that were subtle people pleasing, and a lot of my people pleasing tendencies. I noticed on days 1 through 4 what I was doing. Really, 2 through 4, what I was doing. It wasn't in such an overt way, a noticeable way, an obvious way. It was very subtle. On 5 day, five's energy helped me change my perspective to allow me to see my subtleness in my behavior. Not only was it planting those seeds I had previously mentioned, but also like, well, Lamaya, when you do this, you're kind of like allowing things to happen. You're kind of like, you're being too nice. You're being too forgiving. You're being too allowing, and you're being too passive. You need to reel that back, and you need to start speaking your mind a little bit more, a lot bit more. You just need to you need to start implementing yourself. I know it's scary, but even to the negative forces on your mind, you're too passive with them thoughts. Moving on to 6. 6 is integrating change. How are you going to move forward now, knowing this new information? 6 is asking you that on this, when it rules over the day. The small mundane people pleasing always led to bigger people pleasing. I find it difficult to change the bigger actions. 5 is saying, well, girl, look at the small actions you're doing first. Once you work on those little things, you can work your way up to the bigger things. 6 is like, yes. 6 is like, yeah, let's do that. 6 was integrating all the information on this day, integrating all the information I had learned and took in. I got to the point of asking myself, well, what if we just didn't do the habit? What if we just didn't do it? What, like, for the sake of this, for the sake of this situation, and because you know when you do the action where it leads you, just see where you're gonna go if you didn't do it. And I took a leap of faith and I didn't engage. I'll set the scene. I was on this particular day, I wanted to go somewhere quiet to read my book. I went to a couple different cafes. The first cafe, it was cool, but I got tired of being there and I said, okay, I'm gonna leave. Instead of saying, no, you're already here, you might as well just sit here, like, what are you gonna leave for? Like, that's hella far, it's downtown, you're in a whole nother city, blah, blah. I said, fuck that, we're just gonna go. Like, I had nothing but time on my hands. So when I was on the bus, I was having a conversation with myself inside my head about days 1 through 5. And I started to get that negative spiral. The negative forces in my mind started to like get real loud. As I'm on the bus, I just said no. And I really did it. I took a leap of faith, and everything I learned from 5, I just said, no, I don't want to do that. And I did it. It wasn't like I don't want to do that and then they convinced me to do it. I just didn't do it. And like, I'm talking so passionately because for a people pleaser, this is really, at least for me, this is hard. So once I had got done like having an interaction, I pulled up my phone, I made a voice memo, made a voice recording about like, you know, my findings of what I just did and like how I feel, and, you know, hyping myself up, congratulating myself, and where it could possibly take me and how I could do that in my other situations. I kid you not, the moment I had got done finishing the last sentence of my thought, I found a bouquet of flowers on the floor. Now, I had just seen this guy hauling bouquets of flowers on his bike, so I saw him up ahead, and I asked him, I said, hey, do you want these flowers back because they failed? He was like, you can keep them, but matter of fact, they're broken, so you can get you a new one. And I was just like, I don't want to say it's no way, because the universe is communicating, but I was like, that's crazy. I was like, the universe is congratulating me on really integrating that change, really doing the work, really saying like no to the forces in my mind. When I accepted the realization I came to about myself without all the shame and drama, and I said, okay, we're just going to take this as raw data and we're going to move forward, that's when everything started to shift for me. And I shut the negative forces in my mind up. And I went to the next coffee shop. And then after that, I did the same thing again where I was like, I don't want to be here. I'm going to go somewhere else. I ended up making a friend that night as well. And so things were just aligning for me that day as well. But in a better way than like, on a 3-day, in a higher octave. Now that I've like done the task that that was set out for me to do, I got the work done I need to get done, and I got rewarded by the universe in a physical way. And I know I take that as a form of communication as well. That's just so cool to me when the universe does communicate to me with physical things. So cool. So yes, that's what I mean about integrating the change. You get your perspective change from 5. Your 5 is asking you, like, what if you looked at it this way? 6 is, okay, well, what if I did do it that way? What if I really took the steps to actually do what it is 5 is asking me what I could do? And I did that. And like, that day was just wonderful. So that's what I, received from 6. It's about really taking the steps to put the progress into action. And for me, it was to not people please with my own negative forces in my mind, with my own duality, not to people please, and to show up as myself, and to show up as like who I want to be, and not necessarily who I feel like I should be. And as I move forward, my circumstances, started to reflect that more. And even as into this new week, my circumstances are starting to reflect that more and more and more. Although I still have like, duality to me, adversity is not going to go away. That's just the realm of this, plane of existence that we're on. But the way I go about dealing with the adversity is the reward almost. And so, moving on to 7. I want to say what I wrote here first before I move on to 7. I take all the signs, the timing, what I'm talking about with myself, the atmosphere of the day, everything as communication from the universe. That was for me, the flowers, the bouquet of flowers. I really did that and succeeded. I said, what if I didn't do that and got rewarded for going in the other direction? It's interesting to put this language into words because it's an accumulation of all things. And it is. It's an accumulation of like everything that takes place simultaneously, and the unseen, and like how it shows up in the scene. So it's very nice. When I do things according to the energy of the day, and I do the task or what my intuition is telling me to do, I get physical rewards, responses, confirmations to show I've moved in the right direction. I say here it relates to the app Randonautica. If y'all don't know what Randonautica is, it's this app where you have an intention in your mind, and then the app generates random coordinates for you, and then you go to the coordinates, and whatever you had the intention or whatever you was thinking of in your mind, that is supposed to show up in some way at these coordinates. So for instance, it's a famous story of like this girl was thinking of yellow, or she was thinking of wedding, something she was thinking about. They gave her the random coordinates, and when she went there, she saw, and it was like the middle of nowhere, it's like a desert. She saw it happening. I think if it was the wedding, somebody was like taking proposal pictures right then and there, and like, or if it was the yellow, she saw something yellow, whatever. And it's supposed to work like how quantum physics is supposed to work, but that's how like I feel like this whole shabam does work. Is whatever your intentions are, it kind of like the universe will like tell you to nudge you to go do certain things, or go certain places, or interact with certain people, or just be in a certain place, and it kind of like it brings you to whatever it is you need or you want in that situation when you take those nudges. Okay, so moving on to 8. I feel like 8 days a higher octave of 5 and 6 in a way, and a bit of 7. They all bleed into, wait, how did I skip over 7? That's so crazy. I did just skip over 7. Oh, the neglected 7. Not the neglected 7. Oh, I was on the wrong page. 7 day is similar to 5's energy, as in they both have a reflective vibe to them, but 7's energy has a more meditative and a more relaxed vibe to it, versus then like just kind of planting seeds, planting questions in your mind, planting different perspective. 7 is more, you are getting more information about what it is you receive from 5. And to me, this day is always some type of relaxed vibe. As I've been observing this cycle, most 7 days I'm either laying down, not doing nothing, low energy, but my inner world's more active. And like, there's just nothing really planned, but I don't think that's coincidence. I just find myself, interacting with my inner world, or even if I am out and about, I'm not really focused on out here. I'm focused on what's going on inside. It's hella downloads going on, and I feel like I'm receiving a hug through information. It's just kind of like expanding on what 5 gave you, but just like you're just receiving so much more information rather than just like the specks of information that 5 like kind of alluded to. When I recorded this, when I wrote down all these notes, the video recording that I'm referencing to from these notes, I recorded on a 7 day, and I said I had felt for the first time in a while that I had really sat down and didn't do anything. And like I just said, I just got back traveling from Brazil. I had caught up with some people. I had really quality conversations alongside my own conversations with myself. So in contrast, from 2 through 4 to 7, my conversations were so much better. Like, I didn't feel drained. I didn't feel like my ears were getting taken advantage of, where the people just wanted me to listen to them. I was just, it felt like a mutual fluid back and forth. Like, it felt like I had something to say, they listened, and they had something to say, and I listened, and we were just mutually interested in what each other had to say. And like, that felt really good. It felt like a quality conversation. And even with myself, since I like addressed myself as like, I'm not gonna do that, the conversation with myself felt more of quality and less of like draining me, of like, damn, well, you're making me feel like I ain't. But now on 7, I feel like I am talking to myself in a way that's more nourishing and that's more just better. I'm smiling because of just like how this like trying to put this into words, trying to put my inner progress into words that that I have in my vocabulary bank is challenging, because it's more of a feeling. It's more of a feeling of success, a feeling of accomplishing something you've been struggling with. Whereas I'm finally addressing these people-pleasing tendencies that my body can feel, my body knew I had, but like logically and like up in my mind, I just couldn't understand why I keep compulsively people-pleasing. Like, it's so annoying. But now, like, I'm starting to work through this and actually getting some tangible results and actually feeling like I'm moving somewhere with myself. It's like, it's like a glee feeling. It's very euphoric. It's very nice. While you're going through it, it don't feel as nice. But once you come on the other side, like, you really matured your soul. Like, this is great. This is awesome. So moving back on to 7, like, it was just a very fulfilling day. I recorded the rough draft. Like, I was flowing with my words. I knew what I wanted to say. And like, I was just getting my point across very well. Like, I was nervous about doing it, but I did it anyway. And I didn't feel like the negative forces in my mind was taking over. It was just like fucking nirvana. Like, it felt great. I don't think I really did anything that day either, but let me double check. And this is me looking back on it. Like, I was probably feeling just okay that day. But no, I was feeling good. I was feeling good. Ooh, there's some on my back. Yeah, this day it rained. I was supposed to do like my hiking with friends group. I didn't do that. And I didn't even try to force the negative forces in my mind trying to like guilt trip me into doing stuff that it's just not possible doing. I took that as a sign to rest. I was like, you know what? I'm going to rest. I'm not going to feel guilty about it. I'm about to just lay here until I feel like getting up. And something that I've taken through, not only through this cycle, but from Brazil, is the power of resting and not moving at like go, go, go. You need to do this, you need to do that. And just really being present. Being in Brazil really taught me how to be present and just not feeling guilty about not producing and optimizing my energy to like get the best results and get the best production rate. Like, we are not supposed to live like that as far as how we do in the Americas. Being in Brazil really taught me, again, how to just be. So I really took some of that energy I drew, and some of the energy of thinking how I was in Brazil, and just like, you know, I'm gonna just be today. Like, whatever comes up is whatever comes up. I think I smoked that day, ordered some food. Like, it was a real chill day. But like with the downloads and stuff, and just like having good quality conversations with myself, and good quality conversations with source, and just like really taking in the information I was receiving. Moving on to 8. Like I was saying earlier, 8 is a higher octave of 5 and 6 and a bit of 7. They're all balanced. They all bleed into one another. It's not like I said earlier, one energy stops and the other one starts. It's a color spectrum. 8 energy is showing, okay, you had that perspective change. You've seen what happens when you integrate that change, and now you have time to sit in that energy and get a deeper perspective about it. And let me back up. You see what happens when you integrate that change, and you had time to sit in that energy and get a deeper perspective about the perspective change and when you integrate it. Now the universe, wants to see what you are going to do on your own accord without as much influence. The sun keeps trying to escape me, but it cannot. But yes, it wants to see what you are going to do on your own accord without as much influence as before. So I've noticed 8 day is, like I was saying in the beginning, on the brief introduction, 8 is like the immediate cause and effect. You may like choose a certain way of, like, you may wake up in the morning and you choose to eat breakfast when you don't usually. You're gonna go like immediate effect of like, either that was a good choice or you could have made a better one, or like depending on how you look at the situation, or like you decide to follow a nudge and leave the house and go to this random place. You may instantly find, like, somebody may come up and talk to you, and like you have such a good conversation, you have perspective change, or like they offer you something, or like something just happens to where it's like, wow, like that was crazy. I've noticed that with 8 day. I said here, situations will come and to trigger certain emotions and certain things, old habits and old ways, and how you might react on one day, and how you might have reacted on one day and 2 day. But now you have the chance to shine and show what you've learned. If you really want to be on this new path, you have the chance to show that you really want to be on this new path. And like, if you want to stay on the same timeline, you have the chance to show that you want to stay on this timeline. And that's another way that you can show up as well, where it's like same situations, but now somebody can come up to you and kind of like have that same vibe that you was experiencing from your circumstances on days 2, 3, and 4. And so now that you've had this wisdom, you now have the option to immediately be like, I know what this is and I'm going to leave, I'm going to go. Or you can be like, kind of like fold again and be like, give in to the people playing. Like, you can take it, like, it's the 8. You can take it either way. You can take it from where you're trying to grow from, or you can take it in a direction to where you've grown from where you just came from. So on this 8 day, listen, I did have some energy from 2 through 4 come back up, and I said I wasn't going to interact. And I want to say this next part before I get into the story. You are not going to always 100% succeed. There's been weeks where I've dropped the ball, and this is where self-compassion comes in, and not giving into the negative forces of your mind, thinking you need to be perfect. So I said I wasn't going to interact with a certain person and no more, because of the energy I had felt when interacting with a certain person. It it wasn't of goodness by my terms. Like, it just wasn't something that I needed to be in. Not saying that they're a bad person or nothing. However, when I had called back, because my phone don't do not disturb, like, I missed the call. Called back, and mind you, I had deleted the number, so I didn't even know what the number was. Rookie mistake. I didn't know who the number belongs to. So when I called back, I seen what it was, and I thought it was opportunity to talk, like, explain why I didn't want to be in contact no more. Kind of like give my reasoning and say like, hey, this is what I saw come up. Like, I don't think we're aligned, da-da-da. Because I did that on a 2-day. And I told a certain individual, well, I just don't think our energies align. But take care in the most respectful way I can. Like, not even gonna waste no time. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take that same approach. But when I got on that phone, they showed me exactly why I don't want to talk. I'm not gonna hold you. And I said, oh yeah, I'm cool. And I took that as like, I'm overly cool. And that was my confirmation of how overly cool I really am. And that's what I mean by like 8-day. Like, your reaction has a reaction, and it's immediate. It's like the situation presents itself to you is like in full force. It was like, oh, this is the clearest it's been, and I have to make a decision now. It's not no like wait, it's not no like later. It's now. Like, for the love of yourself, you're gonna have to make a decision now. So that was 8-day. It was a chill day as well. It was just that one particular situation. I didn't really do too much either. It was a chill week, honestly. Nothing too, a very active inner world versus things going on in the outer world. Things were still going on, as you can see. But, not as much as they could. Because sometimes things are just like, boop, 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 boop. I'll be sitting here talking for 3 hours instead of 1. But this week was rather chill. And now we're on the last number of 9. 9 is such an interesting day because it's heavy, but it's not bad. Like, it's just like, I accept my circumstances, and I accept things for what they are. And I'm not mad at it. I'm not jaded. I'm not angry. It's just like it is what it is type of vibe. I said 9 energy shows how and why everything came together how it did. What's the bigger lesson? What's the moral of the plot? Why you were going through what you were going through on days 1 through 9. 9 shows why it's important to listen to yourself and do what you know you need to do. It shows your stats through this cycle, your strengths and weaknesses, where you did well and where you need more work. 9 shows the areas you listen to yourself and where it's going to take you, vice versa. 9, it's always going to be a reroute in some way. It's never in a sense of getting demoted or promoted. You are going to get rerouted on where you're supposed to be. Even in times I didn't feel like I succeeded in the ways I wanted to, I was still moving towards my purpose, my path, and my goal. You take from 9's energy day the lessons in what you needed to learn and bring that into one day, and essentially reroute yourself from where you need to be. It's so interconnected and tailored to you, at least for me, that I don't ever feel like I'm failing. I always feel like I'm learning. Even if I do something very well, I still learn something from that situation. So on this 9-day, I remember I had went skating, and everything was fine. I was going my normal route, but then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go because I've been doing this thing where I skate, I go down streets I haven't been on before, because I'm trying to like create new neurons in my brain and just keep doing small things I have never done before. So if I went down this street while I'm skating, I'm gonna go down this street, see what that's like, just for the sake of seeing what that's like, and hoping enough small little things that I've never done before turn into something, and I really shift my reality. I've done it before, so it works. But What was I about to say? Oh yeah, I wanted to go to downtown, but I have to get on BART. So I went to downtown, but I went in the opposite direction I usually go to downtown to get on another BART train. I had this badass feeling in my body, but I couldn't tell you for what. And what I thought it made me like, oh, okay, I may be feeling this because of something that, might happen, what typically happens when I get this feeling. I'm gonna just watch out for it. Usually it's a man coming to talk to me and he don't really want nothing and he kind of like wastes my time. But I digress. That's not part of the story. So I was just in my head, okay, I'm gonna just watch out for that. I get up to the BART train and I fall, but I had been falling, so I'm like, okay, I'm not thinking that falling comes with skating. I'm not thinking, oh, I'm gonna fall so bad, or I'm gonna fall. Like, that's not what I'm thinking this feeling is about. Like, I don't get nervous about falling, I just fall, whatever. But this time, I fell and I pulled a muscle in my leg to where it's like I had to end my skate session and like leave BART, get back on the bus I just got back on, and go home. And it really taught me the lesson and just kind of like tied in everything I took from 1 to now, to 9 day, about listening to myself. Now, and also being compassionate, forgiving, and not being, like I've been saying, so jaded and mad and like, oh, I didn't listen to myself. How could I? There is no way I could have known that I was going to pull the muscle. There's just some things I just cannot foresee. I can foresee a lot, but there's just some things I just cannot foresee. Yeah, I had been falling that day, but I fall all the time. Like, pain does not affect me like that. But when I fell this time, and the way I fell, I pulled the muscle. I'm just like, all I can do now is just go into recovery mode. Like, just do what I know to do and not try to push through, push forward. Like, that didn't just happen. Let's not act like that did not just happen. And let's actually take some actions about what just happened. Let's not ignore what just happened. And let's, like, yeah. So I went home and I immediately wrapped it in my heater blanket and I went to sleep. And it feels better. The next day it felt better. The next day I went to sleep. I slept most of that afternoon. I think it was like at 5 o'clock in the afternoon at this point. I slept the whole night. I woke up, got something to eat, and I went back to sleep. And I was really in recovery mode. And I went into everything I know about being in recovery mode. I have some frequencies to where if I need some type of one part of my body healed, I put that on. I was listening to that. I was telling my body, you know how to regenerate yourself. You know how to heal yourself. You know what to do, because my body is very regenerative. And I was just pumping that positive energy into my like atmosphere, my aura, my vibe, my body. I'm like, you know how to heal. You are going to heal. This is not, you did not break anything. You're fine. Like, acknowledging that I just hurt myself, but also saying, you know how to heal yourself. So let's get on that. And I'll do what I need to do in the external to provide support for you, for my internal body to heal itself. And the next day I skated, but I skated a lot slower. And the next day is a 1 day, and I'll get into that in a second. The next day I skated a bit slower, but not like my normal. Like, I was like kind of trying to strengthen it, but not trying to overwork it. And to also like kind of teach my body how to keep going, how to have enough rest, and how to keep going to get stronger. Kind of like how Tanjiro is in Demon Slayer. When he get hurt, he take a rest, but he back at it the moment he can. So yeah, I took all of that, and like as the coming days, like, it doesn't even hurt anymore. I'm on a 3-day now, and it doesn't hurt anymore because I knew my body can regenerate itself. But I say all that to say, listening to yourself is a work in progress. This is a work in progress, and this is what I mean by a higher octave. So going into a 9-day, going into the 9-day and bringing it back to the 1 day, I was doing everything I knew how to do about what I know. I was doing everything I knew and how I know how to do it. And I was just kind of like honing in on doing what I know works to like achieve the result I'm trying to achieve, which is, putting into layman's terms, when I was skating, I'm not going to skate as fast as I usually skate. I'm not going to put as much energy. I'm going to learn how to skate slower. I've been wanting to learn anyway, so I want to learn how to skate slower. And also, the 2 day and then today, or last night and then the night before, I'm just doing drills, but not necessarily hard. I'm just working on my pivots, working on this. I'm not doing the speed street skating right now because we're not on that right now, and my body's not with that right now. So yes, I wrapped this all up to say that in this very elaborate way, this system is teaching me how to really listen to myself, but getting into the scientific way of like why listening to myself is what I need to be on, and how to do it. And how to do it, because I know that I need to do it, but I always don't know how to do it. Just like I knew I had a bad feeling in my body, but I didn't know about what. And so seeing this and then taking the information is just, it's beautiful. I think it's very beautiful. What else did I do that day? That's not the only thing I did the night day. I also experimented with an outfit, and I was cute. Very cute. I was very cute. I walked around, and whatever my body felt like doing that day, I did it. I was also feeling very anxious and unsure about the future. I was feeling a lot of energy. And I took my video notes that day, on the 9th day, and I asked for my faith to be restored. And then moving into that one day, my faith was restored. I learned some good news from my sister. And, you know, if you keep hearing good news from people around you, it's only going to be soon that good news is going to happen to you. So I was just feeling very grateful, like not only for myself, but I was feeling grateful for my sisters getting good news. I was feeling grateful. I was just feeling way more grateful, but also, you know, a little anxious, but hopeful that my faith will be restored for the goodness in me and the goodness in the universe. All right, some last finishing things I would want to wrap up. Some last little notes. That is the end of my updated 9-day cycle. Some things stayed the same, but I got a deeper perspective on most things. So I'm gonna keep observing this as, you know, the years go by, and who knows where I'll be with myself. So I'm just very excited to keep going a higher octave as I can. It constantly evolving. Some last notes. Let me wrap up with 9. 9 is also saying, I see how I could do this better. Or no, I already read that. 9 speaks, what 9 says to me is, I see why what was happening to me was happening. I see everything. I was interacting with it. Let me back up. I see why what was happening to me was happening. I see that everything I was interacting with was in accordance with what was going on inside of me. I see why things were aligning the way that they were, and I just see the bigger picture of everything. I feel the bigger picture of everything. I see why everything was happening exactly how it was happening. I see why even the little details were in accordance to me in my inner world. I see why I got all the nudges I got throughout the cycle, and where that led me to, and why that led me to more goodness. And it led me to form a deeper alliance and alignment with myself. I see the goal, and I see how those things, the nudges, the thoughts, the everything, was helping me move towards the goal. Each cycle is a metamorphosis and a checkpoint to push me further along my path and goal, which is getting to know myself on the deepest level, thus co-creating my reality consciously. Attract quality to me, take things as they are, remain present with this progress, and remember that this is all fluid, this is all spiritual school. This experience within and outside of you is fluid, and you have influence. All right, last thoughts. When you tap into your mind and tap into your inner world, you can change things around in there. I promise your experience with your world circumstances will change too. This is not an attempt to be self-centered or selfish. This is a metamorphosis of self, seeing that circumstances reflect self back to self. Integrating light and dark, becoming full human, not flinching at what you don't like about yourself, or not be overly going about what you do like about yourself. Find your equilibrium and learn to just be. This system brings a certain zest to me. It brings, I would say to a person, but I can only speak for myself. It brings zest to my life. I am genuinely excited about growing and about finding ways to be better to myself. It's a never-ending quest of learning and knowledge. I am not surprised I'm at this point in my life. I caught on to the patterns and seeing if I change this thing about myself, it seems like situations change too. It seems like the more I start to like myself, the better situations I attract. I've experienced bizarre situations and emotions all my life, so I'm experiencing bizarre things. So I'm not surprised. I caught on to like this bizarre way of seeing things. Everything I've experienced was always intense, and it's no coincidence that I have such intimate relationship with the universe and this system. The type of outlook and metamorphosis create I already said all that, but I will say that you and the universe are having the deepest of conversations. I'm gonna just read it out. This type of outlook and metamorphosis creates a very intimate relationship with the universe because it's constantly talking to you. You're constantly talking to it. Y'all are having the deepest of conversations. It's talking to you through objects, thought forms, vibrations, feelings, people, animals, phenomenons, through what it can. And lastly, I am amazed that I found the bouquet of flowers on the floor and was given a fresh one after that talk with myself on the 6th day of integrating change. The universe is talking. And that is the end of my updated 9-day cycle. I appreciate, everyone who got to this point in the video. And I just, Godspeed to you all. Thank you for tuning in to, I'm going to stop saying that. Thank you for tuning in to observe the moment. And I'll see you on the next video. Ciao.